Hello everyone, welcome to Mind Blowing Health and Wellness with Violet, Pat Chat Edition. I'm Violet.
And I'm Pat.
Last week we made a video about what would happen if we ate 2,000 calories worth of energy from sugar. If we had, like our body's normal usage was 2,500 calories. The question that the viewer proposed was that we would actually lose weight. And in all fairness, this was a viewer that was trying to say that keto wasn't worth doing. I'm just going to put that out there. And obviously, we're not suggesting that anyone do this. It was just a conversation. Last week, our hypothesis was if someone ate 2,000 calories only from sugar, they would poison themselves because our body, we believe, wouldn't be able to quickly enough put it away. And so therefore, like the insulin wouldn't happen fast enough to get it out of our system. So this video from Eric the Electric, he tries to eat 20,000 calories worth of sugar, which comes out to be 18 pounds, I think.
17, 18 pounds, yeah.
So when we were talking last week, it was like, we thought it would be like 550 something grams of carbs to be 2,000. So, okay.
Interesting, indeed.
So first of all, this was a very scary video. Like I wasn't sure. Well, I mean, obviously the video got put up, so we kind of figured he was okay. But it was a scary video to watch. Just anyways.
Basically, the guy went to the grocery store, bought his 16 boxes of sugar cubes, made a big, gigantic sugar cube. So,
how much grams was it? It was
8,000 grams of
sugar.
And like his whole, like his personal challenge was, he thought he would be able to go through that in 15, 16 minutes, he says in the video.
The reason that we're actually making this video is to point something out. When you don't know that something's actually harmful, you treat it like it's not anything. Like he's acting as if eating all this sugar is not a big deal. And the number one reason we're even making this video is to help people to understand that we need to learn to talk more openly and honestly about the effect sugar has on the body, so that regular everyday people can make better decisions about how they're eating, what they allow in their diet. Because I think if he was aware that sugar is actually toxic, 5 grams of sugar is the max that your body allows to be floating around in you before it starts trying to get it out of your blood system, right? If he knew that, I doubt he would have done this to himself, right? Like knowing that it's actually a toxin. I mean, I'm doubting it, right? But okay, let's
I was happy, at least at the beginning of the video, he has a disclaimer that like mentioned, don't try this at home. It can be really harmful. And like, it's not like he was like mixing sugar in anything. Like he was like heating it like full.
Well, he did mix it in things eventually.
Yeah, eventually to be a little bit easier, like to get down. But at the beginning it was like one or many cubes at a time.
He was eating them as if they were
like chips
or grapes or something. It was really, and I mean, you hear the crunch. Anyways.
Yeah. So okay, so like he has like at the beginning of the video too, like a total macros, because to help him get this down a little bit easier, he has like a bunch of drinks, like protein drinks and almond milk. And so basically the macros were 5,000 grams coming from those carb, 178 grams of fat, 90 grams of protein, 9 grams of fiber. Just
to be clear, the fat, protein, and fiber is not coming from the sugar. He's drinking almond milk, and I think he was drinking a protein drink. Was it just those two things? Oh, coffee. He also had coffee. So he has a few things to help him, because I would imagine that eating sugar straight is probably kind of tough on your throat eventually. It is dry to begin with if you're just scarfing it down. Again, the crunching was...
Yeah, just I think like I felt like watching the video, just the first crunch of the sugar cube kind of made me a bit sick to my stomach. Yeah. So, but like at some point, like maybe I don't know, the 20% is into his challenge. Like the way he did find to eat sugar like in an easier way was to pour like a bowl of cereal, like sugar cubes in almond milk. That seemed to help him a little bit, but not really.
He was also using chips, it looked like, or something to help himself get through eating the sugar, which is an interesting thing, because when you're used to eating regular foods, chips taste savory. So it's interesting how he was breaking up the sugary flavor with savory, but it also tells you that it was like overpowering him at some point, although the chips were adding sugar. But regardless, I think he was just trying to help himself get it down.
It is funny because like that guy didn't seem to have a good time at all. Like the first 2-3 minutes was okay, like yeah, eating cubes of sugar. Throughout the video, actually, like we had some fun fact, and I think that was like shocked us a little bit, like a bit more like in the video. So let's go through some of them and see like what we think about what you did put like on the screen. So first, okay, first, did you know? So some more interesting facts, scary facts, but interesting facts. The average American consumes almost 152 pounds of sugar in 1 year.
What's the math there? On the screen, he's saying the average American eats 152 pounds of sugar in a year, and he was trying to do like 10% of it
in one
sitting,
in 16 minutes basically.
In 16, not even in one, yeah, in 16 minutes. So even that, I think, should have helped him to see that what he was trying to do was not the safe thing to do. But again, I'm saying it's not safe because I know sugar is dangerous. In his mind, it's just, well, I'm eating more than I should eat in one sitting, right? So
I got interested though, like that 152 pounds, what I didn't even go like keto or low carb. I was like the World Health Organization recommended amount of sugar, I think it's of added sugar, is 30 grams per day. So I was like, even if you stick to that 30 gram per day, how much sugar would it be in 1 year? I
still love the fact that they treat the two sugars like they're different.
Yeah, totally. So you can have the pasta, but we're talking about added like sugar. What my mind went through is that I know for sure the World Health Organization recommends no more than 30 grams per day of added sugar, and I was curious like how much was it like through a year, and my maths ended up with 22 pounds. So
22 pounds.
Yeah, so that means that again, that fact, and we double checked it, that 152 pounds is like 7 times the recommended amount of sugar recommended by the World Health Organization.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, which makes sense.
You think about it, why does it make sense? We are all overweight. Like we're not even following the minimum maximum guidelines that the World Health Organization is trying to get us to follow. And so 7 times, and you see it in our bodies, right? You see it in our inflammation. You see it in our health problems.
Okay, 152 pounds of sugar, of added sugar per year. What does it end up being in grams per day? And my maths ends up at 188 grams of added sugar per day. It's scary, but like what I was thinking is like 188 grams, it's about 4.5 cans of soda. When you think about it, if you're a big soda drinker and you don't drink diet soda, that's about it.
But can I put some perspective on that, what you just said? If I eat an apple, there's no added sugar in that. If I eat rice, there's no added sugar in that. So that's on top of what I make in my meal, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
So that's how we get to that 300 grams in a day, right? I mean, I'm just walking that backwards and doing that math. So I'm trying to think, well, how is it only 188? Yeah. But that's like plus whatever we're gonna eat for food.
I'm pretty sure you can easily get, you can easily get to your 300 grams of carbs per day, and that 188 is on top of. So you can actually, a really bad eater that likes like the soft drinks can easily get to a 500-600 grams of carbs and sugar like per day. That's kind of.
I just want to add one thing, because again, when I watched this video, because I did watch it, the thing that was interesting to me is that the average person, even if they do eat 300 grams of carbs in a day, is not doing it in an hour. Or, like what I think it probably took him like 20 minutes to an hour to do what he did. The average person, even though they're eating 300 grams of carbs in a day, their body, because they're eating it in small portions over the course of a day, has time for their insulin to mobilize and do something about it.
Mind blowing.
Yeah.
Not in a good way.
Last week when I answered some comments, one of the things that I said in one of the answers, because someone was saying to me like they could see where the insulin wouldn't have a chance to do what it needs to do to help you. And part of my thought process at that moment was, well, it's kind of like if instead of me as a woman doing what the World Health Organization recommends and only drinking a maximum of 3 alcoholic beverages in a night, I decided to, or 3.3 I think it is, I decided to drink 25. Like everybody would look at me and go, wow, you're trying to poison yourself, right? And yet that's exactly what he did. Like it's amazing. I mean, although again, If I'm a woman who's used to drinking, maybe let's imagine for a second I'm an alcoholic, and so maybe I'm used to drinking, 10 drinks in a night. That 25 isn't gonna, it might not kill me. Don't quote me on this, and don't anybody try it, but it might not kill me, but I would end up, I think, in the same situation that he ended up in at the end of the night, which we're going to get to in a moment.
Yeah. So next facts card on the screen was, did you know Eric is attempting to eat 134 times the daily recommended amount of added sugar in that challenge, which is about like 30 grams times 134 gives like around the amount of sugar he had. So 134 times the amount of recommended sugar in one sitting. That's like kind of, it's a recipe, actually, a recipe to harm yourself pretty bad.
The most interesting part of this video was watching them try to create the little cube. And I really wish they would have just stopped there. Like, we're creating the biggest sugar cube, and just make the cube and leave the cube there and say, take a picture, click, and put it on Instagram.
Yeah.
And like, don't eat it. I wish that's what they would have done. That would have made me like, I'm so worried for this guy that he doesn't see the problem in doing these kind of things to his body.
Yeah, this one is going to be fun to discuss. Okay. So did you know excess sugar consumption from one meal does not cause type 1 or type 2 diabetes? Type 1 diabetes, okay, let's just comment on that first, because there's more.
Can I say that again, we have a case of playing with words? Excess consumption of sugar from one meal. We know that diabetes is created over years of people's lives. Usually you started that negative process, like they believe, somewhere between 15 and 20 years before you get your diagnosis. So of course, excess sugar consumption from one meal isn't going to cause diabetes. That's part of the reason that, like, if someone tells me, oh, I had ice cream for supper, like, I don't care as long as you're not doing that every single day. If you're doing that every single day, you need to ask yourself, what kind of body are you building?
Yeah. Same thing if you overdo alcohol in one night, you're not going to kill yourself.
I think it's actually more like one night of drinking excessively isn't going to make you an alcoholic, right? And they're right in that statement, but they kind of make it sound as if it's not like eating too much sugar doesn't cause diabetes. But go on, like I think there was more written there if I remember correctly.
Yeah, there's definitely more written there. So type 1 diabetes is a chronic condition in which the pancreas produces little or no insulin.
That's true.
Type 2 diabetes generally stems from an overall poor diet, too much sugar, sedentary lifestyle, and also having a genetic predisposition to the disease.
That's not true. Type 2 diabetes is a condition where you've passed through insulin resistance. Insulin resistance is where you make insulin, but your body stops reacting to it because insulin is always in your blood and in your system. So basically, in a type 2 diabetic situation, because my body is insulin resistant, eventually I become pre-diabetic, which means now when they check my blood work, I'm showing excessive amounts of sugar in my blood. Now, insulin is not working at 0 at that point. It's still functioning somewhat, but it's not functioning well. I'm pre-diabetic. When I become diabetic, it's because it's not doing its job. Like, there's way too much sugar floating around. Usually, people understand that they're diabetic because they are passing out and they're having problems. And like, right? Like if you were, let's say you're the kind of person that doesn't go to the doctor very regularly, you might end up going to the doctor because you're passing out and you're lightheaded and all these things because your body's not able to manage all the sugar you're eating. So that's just not, like, just to say that it's a poor diet and it's minimizing the connection between excessive amounts of sugar that we eat because they don't want us, the food company do not want us to understand that those processed foods that they keep making for us, that they keep saying are so amazing, are causing our health problems. It's much better for them that we don't know that excessive amounts of sugar cause this problem, because carbohydrates and sugar are two words for the same thing. So when they put on the label carbohydrates and there's like 20 something there, and then they go, but added sugar is only 3, and they're trying to make you think, look how little sugar there is. They're acting like the 27 grams of carbohydrates isn't the same substance, right? The 27 grams of glucose that you're having from the wheat, let's say, for example, isn't less harmful to you than the glucose and fructose sugar that they added to the food. And we need to understand that.
The other thing that is interesting here, the sedentary lifestyle. We all, I think, proven now that you can be sedentary, have a proper diet, and not be diabetic for like.
The automatic assumption there is that any person who is not overweight automatically will not have diabetes, right? Because the automatic assumption there is if you are in a good weight, no diabetes. How many thin people do we know with diabetes?
Yeah.
Right? I know some. I'm sure you know some. It's not because I'm thin that I can't become diabetic. This idea brings us to this place where we're trying to say it's your fault that you're diabetic. It's your fault because you're the one who's not doing exercise, and that's not going to save you from this situation. Now, granted, a lot of diabetic people are overweight, but that's because those diabetic people, they got to the point of being diabetic because their body was no longer able to protect them by gaining weight. They got to their maximum amount of weight that they could possibly store on their body, so the maximum amount of fat, and they became diabetic. As long as your body has room to store, you will not become diabetic. Those thin people didn't have an ability to store as much fat as the fatter people before they became diabetic. That's the difference.
Yeah. And that's that. Needless to say, that it's not because you go to the gym every day that it's a green card to eat like that amount of sugar. Like you can, like, even though you spend the calories more, you still hurt your body the same way.
Honestly, that's like saying that there's no danger in taking some poison if we've got the antidote on hand. We know that's not true, because when you take the poison, the damage that it does before you take the antidote is there. You can't exercise away the damage that your body lived after, because you've eaten the sugar, right? Like the only solution to that damage is now my body needs to repair. And what do we know about how long it takes for our body to regenerate and refresh all the cells? So my entire body, about 7 years-ish, right? Some parts is going to take longer, some parts is going to be less. Some parts it can't regenerate, right? We need to be careful. There's some parts of our brain that cannot be regenerated. If you're allowing sugar to ruin your health, some things will take much longer to be solved than others, and some things won't be solved.
The other fun fact, out of all the macronutrients, Eric generally recovers from high carbs and sugar-based challenges much quicker than others because of his high activity level outside of food challenges.
Again, we're saying the same thing. Exercising doesn't undo the negative that you did by eating sugar. Totally. I think really I don't know what they're talking about. They're actually, when they say he recovers from what? Like, so what other negative happened to him when he was eating protein or eating fat that he needed to recover from? Yeah. So I don't know. I would have to see his other videos to see what else he recovered from.
But then again, like his other videos, like we checked a few thumbnails. I see a lot of donuts and Nutella, but it's, even though they're not good, they're still sugar, but they're not only sugar. Like if you do 1 tablespoon of Nutella, it's not like having 1 tablespoon of raw sugar. You still have a little bit of fat, a little bit of proteins in there because based on nuts. So it's not like it's not as good, like that. It's not like, it's not better, but like but still, I don't know, I feel like there's a little bit more variety in the macros to not like get the toxin in your system. And like,
I don't know what they're trying to say with that one, because to me what it sounds like they're trying to say is, look how thin he is, so obviously he's recovering. And just because you're thin doesn't mean you're healthy on the inside.
I did take this more like, don't worry people, like Eric the Electric won't die from this challenge. It's the only real like thing that I got from this card. So how did it end up, like you think? 32 minutes. So I did like check this little timer at 32 minutes, like the guy not maybe at half of his sugar amount, like went to the washroom and threw up, and the video finished like there.
So here's the other thing to think about. What does it mean when you eat something and then you throw up or have diarrhea? Food poisoning, right? Like we've all had that experience well, I know I've had that experience at some point. Um, Anytime your body detects that you've eaten something that's harmful to you, if it can get it out of you, it absolutely will. He threw up after 32 minutes of like shoveling sugar down himself. And so we have to, again, doing a little bit of like math and just thinking this through. By the time that the sugar starts to get into his system and starts to like his body starts to try to put it away, and he's still eating it, it took him to the point where it's like, nope, can't keep this stuff, and it forced him to expel it. Right? We've seen other food challenges. I know for sure, I remember watching Furious Pete and some of his food challenges where he ends up throwing up. I'm trying to remember right now what he had eaten, but I'm gonna try to look for that video, and if I can find it, add it to this. But I do think anytime that your body eats something toxic, I mean, we see at the end of this video, Eric goes and he puts it on the screen like a big image of a throw up, the emoji, the throw up emoji. He's helping us to prove the point that we tried to make last week, right? And unrelated, because we didn't know he was going to put up this video, and they're a few days apart, our two videos, where you see that if you overeat sugar and your body can't manage it, it tries to get it out of you. Now, in this particular case, again, the video went up, so I'm assuming he's okay. But it also does show us that your body will not, not that it won't let you, it will fight you on poisoning it. If it can get that out of you, it will. I'm just thinking to myself, speaking of like, bad reactions to sugar, you've heard me talk about my bad reactions to sugar, my inflammation flaring up. Part of the reason that I'm going to share this, I guess I wasn't planning to share this, but I'm saying it now as I'm talking. Part of the reason that I stopped eating nuts is because I would eat them and then whoosh, like I'd have to run to the bathroom. It wasn't worth it to me to be like on the few occasions that I eat nuts, I'm running to the bathroom.
There's a good amount of fibers in nuts. That's not the case, no?
I'm not sure. I doubt it's the fiber, because honestly, when I eat cabbage, I'm not running to the bathroom. When I'm eating broccoli, I'm not running to the bathroom. But when I eat nuts, I'm running to the bathroom. So, I think there's a certain amount that we need to be, again, I want you to be conscious of what you're doing. And I mean, could it be the oxalates in the nuts? I guess that's possible too. But something was happening there. And I feel like, and to me, like, nuts are one of the few things that when I eat them, I taste the sweetness, which is interesting to me that that's the thing that was causing me to have to run to the bathroom. So I just put them down because it's not worth it. I'm encouraging people to, like, we saw what happened to him. So people wanted to know last week. We had that first conversation. We're back because clearly.
But in any case, like, what I want to add to that is, like, I don't think it's worth it. Like, any food challenge, unless you're a professional, even if you're a professional eater, there's no good, like, to your body eating like 10,000 calories worth of food, whether it's like carbs or sugar or fat, or so I don't know, like, to me it's not worth like damaging your health for some views, or for, like, I don't know, that's kind of crazy to me.
Like I said at the beginning of the video, because the video went up, I'm hoping that he's fine and nothing bad has happened to him, because that would be sad, like you're saying, to get views, putting your body in this situation where now I'm sick. I don't think he's sick. I don't think one negative situation, I mean, if you overdrink and you throw it up, usually people are fine, so I'm going to make the assumption that he's fine. But at the same time, I want us to understand, we all recognize that we throw up after we've drank too much because our body's trying to get the toxin out. We need to be honest and aware that that's what was happening here. He ate too much sugar and his body tried to get the toxin out. And I mean, again, I don't know anyone who's ever overeaten. Well, okay, let's go back to Furious Pete for a second, because you know what? He's overeaten a bunch of different things. And I know I've for sure seen him overeat steak. I remember a few challenges where he ate the biggest steak in the restaurant to try to get it for free and all kinds of, well, I don't know if it was to try to get it for free, but they had these mammoth steaks that they say, if you can finish it, like you don't pay.
Yeah, you're right.
And he didn't throw up after that, from what I understood. He not, like, usually he's very transparent if he throws up or not. Like, he didn't show himself throwing up. So I remember he also had a challenge where he ate at a restaurant where it was like a bunch of different meats, but there was some French fries there on the plate too. And again, I don't remember him throwing up after that challenge. So there's something about when the challenge is pure or pure or mostly sugar that seems to elicit this throw up reaction. And I feel like we're not being honest with ourselves that it's your body trying to get the toxin out. I feel like we have a much better tolerance for fats and proteins than clearly sugar, because that 5 grams is such an important number. And people need to understand our body can only manage to have 5 grams of carbohydrates floating around in the blood before it starts putting it away as fat. The average person, as you're sitting here, if we're not eating something, that's about what's happening. We've got about 5 grams of sugar floating around in our blood. Sugar, carbohydrates, call it what you want, glucose. That's what we've got floating around in our blood. Okay, so it's important for us to understand that that's what's happening. We're so happy to make these videos for you guys. Wellness Warriors, always happy that you're here. If you want to contribute to the production of videos, Teespring in the description below, as well as Amazon links and Patreon links for those people who want to contribute directly. I want to thank you for watching Mind Blowing Health and Wellness with Violet, Pat Chat Edition. We cannot wait to talk to you guys again next week.
Talk to you next week.